You're listening to the Sasha Davis Podcast, a show about overcoming fear and manifesting your dream life. Each week, we'll dive deep into real stories and tangible advice about spirituality, law of attraction, mindset, and money so that you can be your happiest, healthiest, and most abundant self. You ready? Here we go. What's up, guys? Long time no listen. Long time no see, right, baby? Got my kiddo here with me. We are still RVing it, and the last few months I have just been living life and feeling really uninspired to share what I'm doing, and I'll get into that here in a second because I feel like I am shifting my own paradigm, like how I show up in the world, how I parent, how I pursue my own dreams. I think this year I got so caught up in the hustle and bustle of building the business and trying to make a bigger impact and trying to sell my house and trying to have a baby and trying to move across the country that I just hit a freaking wall. I know a few of you have reached out, text, DM, called me, emailed me. Some of you even booked pay what you can calls just to hear what I've been up to. So first I want to say I appreciate you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys. And I apologize for just kind of leaving y'all hanging. I know I don't need to apologize, but I feel compelled to apologize because I did. I just kind of fell off the face of the earth. I literally just hit a wall one day and was like, I'm done. I didn't feel authentic for whatever reason. I felt like I was hiding. I felt like I was scared. I felt like everything I knew went out the window. And I was like, what in the hell am I doing with my life? Like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Which is so silly because that's exactly what I help you guys with. I help moms with this. I help women with this, get clear on what it is that they want. And for a very long time, I thought I knew what that was. But I think the shift from moving from the Midwest to now I'm in the West Coast, the energy is different. Everything is different. And if you look at your astrocartography, I was very much in my Saturn period in Iowa. And now I'm in my Jupiter period. And I have some moon lines that come across where I'm at too. And that means something. It means that I am shifting who I am, how I show up, how I make an impact, and I'm pursuing more passions that I've maybe put on the back burner since I was business building and kind of shifting out of, the traditional work role over this last few years. And your moon line is also finding things that are on your moon sign. So for me, my moon sign is Cancer, which is very emotional and artistic, and it's very different from my sun sign, right? And so I was in kind of my sun sign before. Now I'm kind of in my moon sign. Now I'm in my Jupiter. And everything's just different. I don't know how to put it into words other than things are just different. I think differently. I feel differently. I want to show up differently. And one day I just hit a wall and it didn't feel real. It didn't feel authentic. I came into some new information, some new downloads, if you will. And it made me question everything that I was doing. And I felt like a fraud. I felt a bunch of imposter syndrome, like, who am I? But then also, this isn't sustainable. I was traveling across the country with 3 kids. One was a newborn, 2 dogs, fully supporting my entire family. My husband was not working. And all of a sudden one day I was like, what in the fuck? This is great, but I am putting a whole bunch of pressure on myself and the team that I was working with. And I just was like, enough is enough. Something's got to shift. And I just dropped everything and said, I will pick this back up when I feel good and ready. And that's what I'm doing, because I feel like it's important to rest, not necessarily give up, not necessarily quit and just say fuck this, I'm done, which you can do that. Absolutely. You can do that. I've done that plenty of times, but I didn't want to do that this time. I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I had so many one-on-one people at the time, which is a good problem to have. But at the same time, I was on the phone, 30, 40 hours a week. I'm in the car, I'm doing calls, I'm feeding a baby on, one boob and talking to somebody on the phone, and you do what you got to do. I think it's just showing people that, mothers can be more than mothers. We can still, be breadwinners. We still can travel. We still can be present. But it got to the point where I was no longer being the mom that I wanted to be. And for those of you who are mothers, or for those of you who have cared for animals or friends or family or anything, when you stop showing up authentically, when you stop showing up as the person you want to be, that's when things need to shift. And so I had to take a good hard look at what was working and what wasn't working. And at the time, what I was doing was not working. I was putting a ton of pressure on myself, and I had a 3-week-old baby. We had just downsized from like a 2,300 square foot house into like a 200 square foot camper. And I'm not trying to make excuses for myself. I'm just trying to tell you guys where I was at in my life. And again, first world problems, right? Like, how many people can say that they've manifested their dreams in a year? It was so funny this time last November, actually. Me and my husband had went to Montana for the 3rd time that year, and I was like, we got to move. We have to move. I don't care how it happens, but we need to make it happen. We need to come up with a plan. And that's what we did while we were in Whitefish that year. And then I also got pregnant. So not only am I now I'm actually in Southern Oregon right now, but not only am I living out west, but I brought a whole nother human into the world during that time too. So it was just a lot of movement, and not a lot of people can say, hey, I did all of these things in less than a year. And I did that, but I was also very burnt out, I guess you could say. And 3 kids is a lot. I didn't realize. I mean, thank God that Meadow here is a chill baby. I don't know. She's chilling with me right now. You probably can't even hear her. She's just hanging out because you're just such a happy baby. You're such a happy baby. And I had to adjust to that, just like I adjusted from 0 to 1 kids, and from 1 to 2 kids, and now it's 2 to 3 kids. But then we also had to make the physical adjustments and letting go of things that we didn't really need. And so this whole season has been letting go of what's no longer working for me. And so I invite you to look at your life and say, what is no longer working for me? What do you wish you could change? What do you wish you could let go of? And ask yourself, why are you hanging on so tightly to that? That was one thing that I had to ask myself. And when it came down to it, I was seeking approval from other people. Like, I wanted to be viewed as this big successful person. I felt like I was being a fraud because I wasn't at the level that I thought I should be at. But at the same time, I have a baby and she's only little once. They grow so fast. I mean, hell, she's going to be 5 months in just a couple weeks. It's like I blinked and now I have 3 kids. Where does the time go? And so that's what I asked myself, like, what's important to me right now? What can I let go of just for the time being? And how can I shift my business? And how can I shift how I show up in the world? And how can I put my passions back on my calendar? Because I felt like for a very long time, I was putting the things that brought me the most joy just to the side for a bit. And some of them were physically demanding, right? Like, I love riding horses. I love doing CrossFit. I love roller skating and just kind of extreme sports. Well, and obviously you can't do those when you're pregnant. It's highly frowned upon, guys. I mean, I probably rode horses with all 3 when I was pregnant, but only up until, I was like 5 or 6 months along. And then it's too uncomfortable. For anybody that could ride through their whole pregnancy, like, congratulations, but I just couldn't do it. I was like, nope, this is uncomfortable. So now that I'm, 3 kids and I'm, my body's, not necessarily bouncing back. I mean, everything's flabbier and looser and whatnot, but I'm regaining my strength and I'm trying to love my new body, my mom of 3 body, which is entirely different than my mom of 2 body, which was entirely different than my mom of 1 body, which was entirely different from me having no kids body. So each season we have to learn and grow and love ourselves and accept ourselves and change the things that we don't necessarily love, but we can appreciate. So I appreciate my body. I love my body, but I know that I can do better. And that's kind of where I'm at. And not that I dislike hanging out with my kids all day. Not that I dislike working anything like that, but how am I going to fill my cup too? How am I going to continue to put the things that bring me joy on the calendar, that energize me, so that I can go back to showing up as that high energy, fun loving, smart ass woman that you guys have come to know. And so that's me. That's me in a nutshell. That's what I've been doing. And so I'm shifting how my business looks. I'm shifting how the podcast looks. Maybe not so much the podcast. The podcast, dare I say, is easy. Oh, goodness. But I am going to shift on just some of the things that I have been wanting to do that I just haven't made a priority. I don't want to say I haven't had the time, but they were not a priority. And so as we come to close this 2021, I wanted to just get back on the bandwagon, and just keep on trucking. I've been thinking about it for the last few weeks, and that's how the law of attraction works. That's how manifestation works, right? When it keeps resurfacing, that's when you know you need to take action. That's when the motivation comes. And then consistency builds upon that motivation. So use that energy to keep going. A body in motion stays in motion. And so this is just like with any dream or any passion or anything that you want to manifest. If it is on the forefront of your mind, if you've not stopped thinking about it, then that is a hint right there that you need to find a way to make it happen. And your brain will say, oh, now's not the right time, or I shouldn't do this, or I'm not qualified. Who am I? I'm too old. And just to give you guys an insider look, those are all of the things that I was thinking right before hitting this podcast. Like, who am I to do this? I haven't podcasted in like 3 months. Nobody's going to want to hear from me. Get over yourself, Sasha. Da-da-da-da-da. You should just quit. And then there's a couple other things that I want to do with horses. And I think I've been sharing bits and pieces of this with my one-on-one clients, but I'm definitely going to be expanding how I work with people because I'm being called into more in-person things. So what you will see online will be more DIY, more group, more educational, but I want to start offering experiential, transformational healing, I guess you would, in person, using horses, using dogs, using whatever animal we feel called to use at that time to help us reconnect with ourselves, with our higher selves. And I literally thought to myself, you're too old to do this. I'm 34 for those of you who don't know how old I am. That's something I always am curious about with people. I'm like, I wonder how old they are. So for those of you who are like me and wonder, I'm 34 years old. And no, I didn't start having kids until I was almost 30. I think I was 29 when I had my first kid. And you're not too old to have kids when you're 29 unless your doctor tells you otherwise. But I still think I think it's bullshit, honestly. If you're healthy, if you're a healthy individual, I think you can have children well into your late 30s, early 40s without a problem. I mean, go see a naturopath, go talk to a midwife. They will have a very different opinion on your birthing experience or just your overall health in general than your traditional Western practitioner, Western medical doctor. So totally off subject. So anyways, ladies, I just wanted to tell you that I am alive and well. And I have been feeling all the feels these last few months, and I am ready to get back into the swing of things. But I also wanted to share with you guys that if I can take a break, you can take a break. The world is not going to come crashing down. I mean, it might, or feels like it, but it's not. Nothing's really changed for me. We're still financially okay. I'm still hanging out with my kids. I'm still doing all the things, but I'm just not showing up on social media and I'm not taking on any more one-on-one clients. So, I mean, there's been a few things that have shifted, but you can absolutely take a break. You can absolutely take a nap. You can absolutely say no. It's okay. It is okay. I promise you, it is okay. And it's okay to change your mind. I think so often we're scared to change our minds. You know, out there online, everybody's preaching that you have to pick a niche and you have to stick with it to be successful. Rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat until you die. But that doesn't sit well with me either, because I feel like, again, that's putting us back in this box of what do you want to be when you grow up? pick something, go to college for those 4 years, and then you're going to have to do those things for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years until you retire and die when you're in your 70s. And that's what I feel like marketing and social media is nowadays. And that just did not feel right to me. And I even caught myself saying, just rinse and repeat. Just do all the things. Well, all the things don't feel good. Nobody wants to constantly be doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. It's just preaching more burnout. It is. At least for me, it was. It wasn't sustainable for me. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to show up how I want to show up. And I'm going to stop listening to all these experts that make me feel like I'm a failure for not doing it their way. Isn't that what this is all about anyway? Shifting the paradigm of I don't have to do things the way that everybody else does, except for online makes you feel like you have to do things like everybody else. Kind of funny how that works, right? It blows my mind how they're like preaching something, but the actual paradigm itself is doing the thing that they're preaching about. You know, just twisted. Totally twisted, which is why I feel called to do more in-person things, more experiential things, more hands-on things, because I think it's just different. The energy is different. And for those of you who are in energy work and things like that, it's just different. It's hard to put into words how you feel when you can actually put your hands in the dirt and experience something. How you feel when you ride a horse, or when you pet that dog, or when you're out in nature, or when you actually have no cell phone service. I can't tell you how many times we stayed at places for several days with no cell service. Like, even if we wanted to call 911, we couldn't, which was kind of scary after you thought about it. And I told my husband, I'm like, you know what? We have a newborn and 2 small children. Maybe we should go back into cell range, because if something happens to us, we are fucked. But at the same time, it's very freeing, because I'm like, damn, nobody can get a hold of me even if they wanted to. Like, this is nice. And to believe it or not, it was kind of addicting, which made it very easy just to be like, one day, fuck it. Fuck it. It's okay. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to live life on your terms. And if somebody doesn't like it, fuck them. They'll get over it. And if they don't, so what? That's on them. Tell them to quit projecting. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my little 15-minute update here. I'm excited to start podcasting again. I'm excited to start sharing again. And I'm going to share how I want to share. I'm going to put the blinders on. I'm going to stay in my own lane. I'm going to tell you to do the same. Stop comparing yourself. You're successful in your own way. It takes all kinds, guys, all kinds to make this world go round. If we're all doing the same thing, we're all just a bunch of sheep again. I like to think of myself as the lone wolf. Wolves do run in packs, though. They do. They run in a small pack of other wolves, other people who are leading the way, paving the way. They stick together. They got each other's back. They're doing things a little differently. And I'm cool with that. I'm here for it. Hope you are too. All right. Catch you guys next time. Have a kick-ass weekend.